Hey guys, welcome back to Post Hunt Clarity. This is episode 28, and we have another guest for you. So, I'm going to introduce Renee to you guys, and she is a killer, and she's actually pretty well known in the outdoor industry, and she's pretty local to us as well. So, that's nice to know that we get to podcast with somebody else from Wisconsin.
Heck yeah. Thanks for
So,
having me, you guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's always
absolutely.
good to just talk to different hunters, and we like to, at least on this podcast, get different perspectives on things. And we like to talk about what got people into the outdoors and just honestly crazy shit that's happened. Because Ben and I seem to have just wild stories. Like everybody on their outdoor podcast is talking like, here's strategy on how to kill a giant deer. This is what I specialize in. Like we always seem to talk about the things that we messed up on, and that's hence the reason for post hunt clarity, because hindsight's always 2020. So we always
Mm.
talk about what we learned, what we could do different next time, and just how we pivot and change things. So I guess give us a little backstory on yourself. Obviously, you're from Wisconsin, but when did you start hunting? What do you like to hunt? And we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I started hunting as a child with my family. My family was basically, if it's brown, it's down. That's kind of their mentality, the typical northern Wisconsin family. But as a kid, I never really carried a rifle. It was, you're gonna get all suited up in orange and go walk through the swamp and push deer towards us. And
Yep.
that was my idea of hunting. So I never really got to enjoy the harvest side of it. And I do remember at one point in time hunting with my grandpa with a rifle, and we didn't see any deer, so I never had an opportunity to actually shoot a deer. It came full circle for me as an adult. So I was introduced into the hunting side of things, but no one really like walked side by side with me. My uncle taught me a lot, my dad taught me a lot, but it was never side by side together. We're gonna do this. And
Mhm.
then I became an adult and I decided I wanted to learn more about hunting, and I took hunter safety online, and I set out my first like solo hunt was a turkey hunt actually. And I like lugged all my turkey gear out onto the back 80 of my uncle's property, and I carried a blind and decoys, and I went to Shields and I got my shotgun, and I was probably not picking out the appropriate shotgun because I was like, thinking I'm scared to ask anybody here at Shields what to buy because I don't want to sound stupid. So I just picked out the first gun they said was right for me. And
Mhm.
that comes full circle because I ended up working with the gentleman that I bought the gun from when I started selling firearms for Shields. So it's just kind of a cool story how that all plays out. But I set out and I did my first turkey hunt solo after doing some turkey hunts with other people that I was close with. And I was able to harvest a turkey that night unexpectedly, like crazy story. Didn't think it was actually going to happen. And I'm like, okay, now. And all I wanted to do was hunt after that. And I really dove into archery on my own as well. Bought my own bow, went out and I had people help me with my tree stands, but never to the point of like going out there and hunting with me. So it was all self taught as an
Sure.
adult.
So, okay, so you started deer hunting first while you were younger, but never really had success. It was just kind of the Wisconsin tradition, right? You go out during the gun season, do that stuff. So it was turkey hunting that really got you hooked.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was deer hunting. Like I did get my hunter safety, and I
Mhm.
was out bow hunting and rifle hunting before I had done my turkey hunting, but I hadn't been successful to the point where I felt I had accomplished it on my own. Where I went out, set out my blind,
Yep.
my decoys, called the turkey in, and harvested the turkey by myself. And that's really what made me excited for the outdoors. And I found my passion in it at that point because I knew I was capable of doing it on my own.
Sure.
That's like one piece of advice I have for every female in the outdoor industry or in the outdoors, I should say, that wants to get outdoors is to just not hold back and to be confident and go after it and don't be afraid to ask questions because you are capable of doing it. You don't have to hold yourself back and be fearful of that. So it was
No, that's great advice. And then so I'm curious now, would you say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being you're an absolute wizard, where do you think you are as far as like your ability to call turkeys? I personally would place myself at like a 5, 4 or 5.
I'm probably like a 5, I would say. I
Sure.
mean, I I do take a lot of people turkey hunting, and I have called in a lot of birds for people. Seems like when it's for me, they don't come in at all, so and they run the opposite direction. But, it just depends. I would say I'm not the best with it, but
Mhm.
I do enjoy it. I enjoy using a diaphragm call just
Sure.
because then I don't have hand movement and stuff when turkeys are around, and I would say I'm pretty good at that. But the other calls, like, I can't do a box call, and they claim that that's supposed to be the easiest one.
Isn't that crazy? Like I mostly use a diaphragm call. I've used some slates. I've never owned a box call. I got like a
Mm.
push button call. That's like honestly my fidget spinner here at the desk. Never really brought it out to the woods, but it exists. So you would say that you're pretty self taught too with the calling and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would say I'm the same way. In the first God, I've been trying to call turkeys, I feel like the last 10 years. The first 4 years, I thought I was getting the hang of it. And then I look at like old videos and I'm like, I was like really, really bad. It's kind of cool to just see improvement over time. But that's,
Yeah.
another key tip I always tell people is you do not have to be a master caller when you are trying to call turkeys. Like there's a
So,
lot of people that, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, funny story, I took my daughter and her friend out a couple years ago, and we were just getting ourselves set up in the blind for her friend to get her first bird.
Mhm.
And I was trying to, like, navigate. I was bringing everything out there the night before, which her tag was still active at that she had a Wednesday through Tuesday tag here in Wisconsin, and we
Yep.
went out Friday night, and I wanted to leave everything out in the blind and then just come back the next morning in the dark, with the things that we forgot. Well, my daughter was out there, and at the time, she's 7, and she's just going back and forth on the slate call, like, it sounded horrible. Well, here comes in a tom. And they ended up then Ellie, her friend, shot the bird, and
Yeah.
we left within 2 hours, and my daughter's, like, sitting there just reefing. I'm like, "Well, apparently you don't have to be good at calling."
Yep. It's just got to sound good to the right bird. So,
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
you asked that question, Gabe. I'd probably be a 0 on that scale. I don't really bird hunt. I'd love to get into it, and calling's always been the thing that's like hung me up on getting into it. I'm like, I don't have a clue where to start, and I've never got into it. So maybe that's my sign that I need to start.
yeah,
yeah,
just
you've
go
never
for it.
really been into birds, I feel like, which it's one of those there's so many things a person can try to hunt or catch, whether you're fishing, whether you're hunting. Like I am not much of like an upland game person, and I know a lot of people that are serious about shooting pheasants and shooting grouse, and me, I personally could care less. I did say the same thing like 4 years ago about ducks. Like basically the only buzzards I would shoot would be the ones that didn't like to leave the ground. Those were turkeys. So I was a turkey and a deer hunter. And I didn't want to try waterfowl hunting because I'm just like, I don't need another hobby. I don't think it's that cool. I went and did it, and now I have the itch for it bad. Like I have been more of a waterfowl hunter the last 3 or 4 years, and I feel like I've been a deer hunter,
Mhm.
which is fun. And I just know that like I don't need to try upland game because it's another one of those things that I'm just like more money to spend on stuff,
Right.
less time, because the more you hunt, it's like the hard to really commit to something. Not that you can't be an average Joe at everything, but
Mhm.
I feel like if you really, really want to be good at something, like you either have to have unlimited time or you got to pick one or two things and just really kind of hone in on them.
Yeah.
The year that I became, like, super into waterfowl hunting was when I was archery hunting and shot my buck opening weekend. So I was like, "Well, now what am I gonna do?"
Right.
Yep.
So I started waterfowl hunting, and I got addicted.
Yeah. Isn't it
It's
crazy? It's
fun.
it's such a social sport.
Yeah. So Renee, maybe
Like
you touched on this. I missed that, but what year was it that you started to get into birds and like started to kind of teach yourself? How long ago was that?
Well, probably about 11 years ago now,
Oh, okay.
10,
So it's been
11.
a
So
while. And then was bow hunting soon after that?
so bow hunting was in that. When I got my hunter safety, it was for bow hunting, but that
Oh, okay.
season so I started bow hunting, but really, like I had told Gabe earlier, was what made me really excited and passionate about it was the fact that when I went on that turkey hunt, I did it all myself. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I can do this all by myself. Where, with whitetail hunting and you're setting your tree stands as a beginner, you're like, "Okay, I need someone here to, like, help me with this tree stand.
yeah.
I'm not gonna be planting these food plots alone," or I'm not it was kind of like setting up my whitetail stuff on my family's property. it just kind of felt like it was their thing and I was joining in on it. However, no one in my family really bow hunted. I think my cousin did a little bit, but we never really interacted. And back in the day, my dad bow hunted, but not when I was a child or as I grew into an adult. And now he's getting back into it. Seeing my passion
Oh,
for it,
that's
he's kind of
fun.
like, oh, I want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, he set out and he was like, I'm gonna ground stalk a whitetail, and he's going
Mhm.
after this one that we had. We called him Split Two because he had a split G2, and he had a really great encounter with him, and came back and was telling me all about it, and I was like, it was just cool to see that because I hadn't seen him be passionate about it as I was growing up. It's something he
Yeah.
kind of got out of. So
Yeah, that's cool. Ground stalking a whitetail. That's how I killed my first whitetail buck. Obviously Adam. We were in Kansas and it was our last morning. We had a buck out in the CRP field and we were packing up the truck and leaving. He's like, let's go kill it. He threw a decoy on his shoulder. We got to like 35 yards and I just kind of leaned out and made the shot. I was like 16 at the time and it was pretty sweet. So
that's
that's,
cool.
if you're looking for another challenge, ground hunting whitetails is a fun one.
Yeah. Ground hunting whitetails is fun. The property that I primarily hunt now, like the 40 acres that I own now, it was clear cut about 7 years ago. So I do a lot of ground blind hunting too. And then I
Sure.
have family property that has tree stands. And now that I've gotten more familiar with like hanging and, setting my own stands and all of that, I would say I prefer whitetail hunting over turkey hunting. I like to chase mature deer and I like to kind of learn their patterns and, manage deer on the property, so to speak, and try to get a mature whitetail is obviously the goal. But I love them both because they're both so different, but those are my two favorite as far as hunting goes so far in my life is going to be turkeys and whitetail. So
Sure. So no Western hunts, no Western experiences yet.
I've elk hunted
Okay.
multiple times. Yeah, I actually harvested a cow elk, but I have not archery hunted elk. I do have a
Sure.
tag this year, so it's a pretty tough tag though. It's like 6% success rate right now for people
Sure.
to do an general archery Montana tag. So we'll see. I mean, I'd be really excited to come back and tell you guys I'm a part of that 6%. But
Or are you gonna be in Grizz country?
yeah,
Ooh, what are your thoughts on that?
I just carry a 10 millimeter.
Yeah, she's
I
not
mean,
even worried about it. She's just like, stay strapped. She's not like I've talked to a lot of people on that hunt. Like I have a couple guys in the industry I know that now live out there, and they were
yeah,
telling me that like they hunt. It's close to where you can't hunt in Yellowstone, wherever that border is. But they were saying it's Grizz country. They're like a lot of people don't like to hunt here because like you will see a bear every single day, and like you have to be worried about like if you harvest one that like you're obviously not by yourself because like the clean process, like if you
yeah,
have to take 2 trips to pack this thing out, like it's
you're more
and
than
making it sound like super miserable. And I'm like, I don't know. Like to me, it sounds funny. Obviously, it's dangerous, but I was curious your thoughts on that.
gotta live life on the edge, man.
Hey, go where the big ones are.
I used to have kind of a fear for bears. I mean, obviously, I haven't had any interactions with grizzlies, and I know grizzlies are a whole nother world compared to black bears. So, like, I'm not saying I'm comparing the two, but I have bear in my backyard every single night right now.
Mhm.
So the fear has definitely gone down. Do I feel comfortable? No. I think if you ever feel comfortable, then that's when you're gonna end up hurt. Like you
Yeah,
need to stay aware and stay on edge. In my opinion, you need to be on edge because that's, your safety.
yeah,
There's a predator. So,
yeah.
but I think if you're not stupid about it, you're gonna be okay.
You go out there with a group of friends.
Possibly. I haven't quite figured out the hunt yet just because it's gonna be for work. So
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, that's
we're kind of
fun. Work
waiting to
perk.
see what everyone else draws first.
Sure.
Hmm.
Hey Ben, do you get to hunt for work?
No,
No.
no, I don't. Get to play golf every once in a while for work, but not normally hunt. But
You do get to take
so
trips to Vegas.
yeah, there you go. We go rip it up in Vegas, and yeah, so there's that. I mean, it all evens out, right?
Yeah.
So
Funny,
what?
funny little background. Ben and I worked together for like a month, and then I was like, just kidding. This place offered me a job, and I'm going to be able to hunt for my job. And I'm like, sorry, Ben. Bye.
Yeah,
Sure.
Renee
Yeah.
and I got to hang out for a little while and know each other, and then you left. So
Yeah, I'm so
no,
sorry.
it I'd have done the same thing had I had the same opportunity. So I
Mhm.
shouldn't say that. I love my job, but I mean, you got a pretty sweet gig, it seems like. So
Yeah. Yep, it all just depends. I mean, some people don't like to make their passion work. So there's a fine line there and I've been able to navigate it really well, but that was, a concern when making the job change and going into the outdoor industry was am I going to make something that I'm really passionate about now a job and am I going to not enjoy it? But I have not run across that yet. I get to go to work every day and I am very grateful for the companies that I work for and it's cool that I feel like I don't have to work a day in my life. I get to do what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
That's
that
so
is cool.
funny that you had brought that up because Ben and I just in the last couple days had that conversation about us
mm,
launching this post hunt clarity brand and with the membership course we have plus the podcast is like it might have been his grandpa or his grandma that had asked like, something about making your passion your work and like how that sometimes can eat away at your passion. But,
mhm,
I've kind of same thing. Honestly, I say maybe I fell a little bit victim to that. I mean, I've worked in the industry now for the last 6 or 7 years,
mhm,
and it hasn't decreased my love, but it's definitely like at some point it would be awesome if there was a little separation between church and state of like, I want to go out there to just hunt, right? Like I've been hunting since I was 10. And I started filming my hunts with a YouTube channel when I turned 18. And I
mm,
was like hell bent on that up until about 2 years ago. Now I still, film some videos and I'll post, 5 or 6 deer hunts or seasons or whatever a year. But like I used to like if I would drive a half hour to go hunt, realize I forgot like my camera or I didn't have my camera arm. I would be the guy that I'm like, I'm not hunting, I'm going home, I'm not going to the woods unless I'm filming.
Well, because
And
I
that's
always
like the time when you kill one too.
correct. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. And in the last year or so, like I've purposely left my camera just because I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to just like I'm out here to be out here. I talk deer hunting all the time. I'm always
mhm.
behind a camera for work. So I'm like, you know what? If I come out here and I shoot an absolute giant, it's not on film, whatever. Like that's you
Yes,
can take pictures. So
I'll say that too, like, so I work for Buckmasters and I do filmed hunts for Buckmasters, but when I'm hunting on my own property, I'm
yeah,
pretty particular on when I'm filming. I had a pretty
Yeah.
rough fall this last fall. It was probably the toughest season I've had since I started, like, really grinding and hunting, and I made a mistake. I second guessed on a really mature deer, and his body was huge, but his frame was not huge, and there was bigger deer on the property, but I second guessed it, and I'm like, "No, like, he's a mature deer, I'm gonna shoot him." So I drew back, and I couldn't get him to stop. He was walking off of the food plot. And by the time he stopped, I was drawn back, but I was turned this way, and my top limb hit my bow hanger
Mm.
and
yeah,
rode from it, and I hit him like right in the butt. And I put another arrow in really quick because he kind of stood there and looked at it. And when I pulled my arrow or when I pulled my bow back again, then he took off into the woods. Well, I thought maybe I hit femoral artery,
Hmm.
and there was quite a bit of blood, but I didn't. It was just because my broadhead had expanded and drew quite a bit of blood,
yeah,
but I was filming during that, and then I filmed, like, the rest of my grind after this deer, and then he ended up getting shot opening morning of rifle season by the neighbor, but I put in hours. I'm talking, like,
sure,
multiple work weeks worth of time in the stand, and, so many encounters with him, I mean and it's hard to chase one mature deer on one chunk of land, like, if it to stay
yeah,
dedicated on that deer, it's exhausting, and I which is great, like, that's why we do it, right? That's
hmm
part of, like, the grind and trying to get after it and learn the deer and, get in there on the right wind and know where he's gonna be, and so many times I seen him, but just out of range, like 100 yards,
sure.
80 yards, 70 yards. I'm like, "Could you we just close the deal here?" And then, yeah, he ended up getting shot, but
Well, at least you got some
So
closure on that aspect, though.
yeah.
yeah, well, and I was gonna ask too, Renee, did you kind of take the mindset then of like, okay, like this is the only deer I'm willing to harvest the rest of the year, or at least like with that tag?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. So there was multiple other deer on that property that had they come by me, I would have passed him up for other people.
Yeah.
Not because he was wounded, like he had fully healed, like we could see on the trail camera pictures. He had fully healed, he was walking just fine, but it was more like I needed redemption.
Mhm.
I could have went and harvested another buck and I would have been okay with it. It was just I really wanted to shoot that deer then after I had made that mistake. And I knew it
Yeah.
was on me. Like I shouldn't have second guessed. I should have went full kill mode because it once you start second guessing, that's when errors happen and mistakes happen. And when he walked into the food plot, had I gone full kill mode, I would have been fully drawn and ready to shoot him right when he was in the perfect lane. And I wasn't. So, lessons learned there. Like, don't second guess. And if you think it's going to make you happy, do it. Like that's the biggest thing is, when you're hunting property with other people too, and you're like second guessing, am I going to let these people down? Is this the right deer to shoot? That's kind of where my mentality was. And I didn't want to let anyone else down. And looking back on it now, I let them down more by doing what I did than if I had just pulled the trigger.
Sure.
So yeah, kind of a bummer there, but it's lessons learned, and that's part of it. And 150-inch buck that I shot here on my home property in Wisconsin, I had like 3 seconds to think about it. I grabbed my bow off the hanger, pulled my bow back, and shot him within. I mean, it felt like 3 seconds. So when you don't think, you go kill mode. It just happens. It just clicks.
Yep.
But
So that's something I want to ask you about. Ben and
mhm,
I had a conversation after he killed a deer in Kansas one time. After he had a couple just bad encounters shooting at deer, everybody has
I'm a
those.
I'm a
And
head case when it comes to that stuff, Renee. Like until I shot that deer in North Dakota this year, like I had some bad experiences with exactly what you're talking about. And just like it's once it happens once, sometimes it's like hard to get out of that rut. And so, anyways,
mhm.
I'll let you finish with where you're going with this game, but it was like not good for a while. Like I was ready to go lay on the highway a couple times.
Don't do that.
so no, what I was getting at is gonna kind of tie this in, I guess, is you kept saying full kill mode, and I had
Yeah.
a conversation with Ben when he killed his Kansas deer one year, which he can tell you guys what he told me. I think we had gone over it once, but I'm curious to know like how you would describe you going into like full kill mode, right? Like what's different? What are you focusing on? Because we had
Yep.
an episode in our course where we really talked about, which this is something nobody ever talks about, right? They always talk about like, hey, I pull back, I focus, I shoot, but like we talk about mental preparation because I think that's a huge like
Mhm,
everything you can prep for physically is awesome and you need to do that. But like
mhm,
mental preparation for the 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds during your shot process is
mhm.
huge. So, what does going into full kill mode look like for you?
If I'm being completely honest, it's like blackout mode. Like your
Sure.
adrenaline hits you, and if anyone doesn't have adrenaline when they're pulling back on an animal, they shouldn't be hunting, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
it's for me, what I really hone in on is the fact that I'm going to harvest that animal. You put in your practice and your reps, so that should just automatically be a habit. Like you shouldn't have to think about how you're holding your bow, your grip, where your anchor is. Like you shouldn't have to think about any of that. Obviously, you need to get your pin dialed if you're, working a dialed sight. But for me, it's just honing in on the shot placement and the fact that I am harvesting that animal and I'm not putting anything else in my mind. Like this animal is now going to be taken and like I'm having that moment of like I'm thankful, I'm grateful. I'm going to be able to harvest this animal, and that's really where my mind goes. It goes into the I won't be missing. I know I've practiced for this. I know I'm going to kill this animal. Like, and then after I shoot, I make sure I'm watching exactly where it goes. Because most situations your deer's going to run off or your whatever
Mhm.
animal you're shooting, and I'm very focused on where it goes, so I know exactly where to go afterwards. A lot of the places that I'm hunting are like smaller, like kill plots. So then
Sure.
they go off into like a thick like swamp or, clear cut where that's all thick. So to know where I need to go after that too. But my kill mode is just the fact that I am going to harvest this animal and I need to focus on my shot placement and where I want to shoot the animal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If we still got Ben, do you want to describe what your full kill mode is? You can use the exact words you told me once too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I finally just kind of got to the point where I was talking with somebody about it, and they're like, I was telling them, like, I missed this deer. I had, an experience where I wounded this one. And they're like, you need to get to the point where, like, when you decide you're going to draw your bow, pull your gun up, whatever it is, like, you're like, all right, this fucking thing's going to die. Like, the minute you make that decision, like, that's now, like, it doesn't sound
Yep.
nearly as like nice and, you know, respectful as what yours does, but that's kind of my thought process is it's like, all right, like you're going to die. Like, and that's just, you know, then from there, it's the same thing. It's like, all right, I'm just only focused on, you know, where am I going to shoot this animal? And from there, it's, you know, I always struggled too with like, especially when I was younger, I'd shoot and I'd just freak out after that. And, you know, my dad or
Yeah.
grandpa would come help me track and they'd be like, well, where to go? And I'm like, I don't know. That way, I
Uh-huh.
think. And so now it's like the
Uh-huh.
second I shoot, it's like, you know, watch, binoculars go up if they need to, like get another arrow in, whatever the situation calls for. But I've gotten a lot
Mhm.
better about that, I would say, over the last few years. So I don't know if that's where you wanted me to go with that, Gabe, but that's kind of what goes through my
That's
mind
exactly
anyways.
where he went. Because he had told me on his Kansas hunt when he was watching that deer come in. This is after he had a couple of those, you know,
Bad
missed
encounter.
opportunities or bad encounters. Yeah, and he was like, the way he was describing it to me is he's like, dude, I just locked the hell in. He's like, I looked at that thing. He's like, I went from, you know, you get buck fever or whatever, and you anticipate it to just like stone cold killer. He's like, I just, you know, I had to tell myself like that deer's gonna die, and
Kill
you
mode.
go like everybody. I think everybody has it. Nobody really talks about it, but for that, you know, from the second you're about to draw back to the 5 seconds after you release that arrow, like you go somewhere mentally that's really hard to describe unless
Mhm.
you have a conversation like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blackout, like I said.
Yeah. I'm more of a
Yeah, I
blackout
mean,
kind of
that's what
person, I
it
feel
is.
like.
Yeah.
Mhm. But
Yeah.
I
But
will
like,
say too, I made the mistake of, trying to watch the deer, and not following through my housing, like, of my sight too, and, like, not being like, I'll rush down and then my arrow goes down, like, I
Sure.
am always trying to follow through no matter what I'm doing, follow through with your rifle, follow through with your bow, just follow through with your basketball. No,
Yeah, it's
like,
right.
the same thing.
anything you're doing, like, make sure that you're following through with that too. So that's a part of kill mode for me is to make sure that my placement was perfect, and then I watch where it goes because I wanna know exactly where I hit that animal too. Because I don't wanna be second guessing like, "Oh, I think I hit it in a good spot, but I don't know for sure." And then you
Hmm.
don't know if you need to go in after the deer because you don't wanna bump it, and yeah, so I try to follow through too with that.
So,
there's such a I'll let you go, Ben.
no, go ahead. I was going to change the topic
I was
actually. So go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there's such like a cause and effect thing that
Mhm,
happens in a matter of mere seconds with your shot that can affect the next 4 hours, 12 hours, or like 36 hours of your life, right?
mhm,
Like just locking in for an extra couple seconds and really being dialed and paying attention can make the difference between you being able to wait an hour, get this thing out of the woods, successfully put your tag on it, to hey, I'm now calling in from school or I'm calling in from work the next day. I can't sleep tonight. Like, just,
mhm,
you know, nobody really ever thinks about that. And that's why I want to drive the fact that it's so important to just be a little bit detailed oriented and just mentally
mhm,
prep yourself even beforehand. Like, these are things that you can almost prep yourself before you go hunt. But again, up until that moment happens, adrenaline starts pumping, buck fever kicks in for some people. And like, you almost just have to really find a rhythm, which is why we always say like, hey, instead of just for a new hunter, like I would give completely different advice than a lot of people where they're like, hey, it's your first time hunting, go after a mature deer, spend your time doing this. Like I fall under the opinion that like if you are brand new to hunting,
mhm. Go
the only
kill
way
one.
you're going to be the only way you're going to be great at killing deer is if you actually start killing some deer, right? You
Yeah.
Yeah.
practice, whether that's some does or if you get an opportunity at a first buck or whatever, like focus on the fundamentals. Like who gives a shit if it's a fork buck or a basket for your first deer? Like
Mhm.
you need to kill deer to understand how to prep yourself to and get better at killing more deer.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah.
I've killed some, I would say some respectable deer. And I'm even at the point where I'm like, okay, I go a year without harvesting a deer with my bow. And I'm like, I'm just going to go shoot some does
Yep.
because I need to make sure I have the repetition.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to, shoot does late season rifle and it'd be cool out. So I have time to process it. But at the same time, it's like you have to get that repetition in.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a big aspect of it too that a lot of people miss is the practice side of it. And like, especially it seems like that like 40 to 60-year-old like guys especially. It's like they go shoot a couple arrows on opening day. They're like, "All right, I'm good." And then they walk out to the stand and it's like if you haven't practiced thoroughly, like your mind can't go to that blackout
Mhm.
mode that we were talking about. Like, you have to be like, it has to just be second nature, you know?
Mhm. For sure.
All right, Ben, I'll let you fire away with your topic change.
Yeah. All right. So I was gonna ask Renee, like, how did you go from like getting into hunting to more of the, I don't know if you want to call it influencer side of it, or how exactly that started, but did you just start posting, or what did that look like? Because you've grown a pretty big following now.
Yeah. So actually, where it all started was my friend Macy did photography,
Yep.
and I was passionate for the outdoors and I enjoyed doing everything outdoors that I was doing. And she's like, "Hey, I really need to get photos for my portfolio. Can I take photos of you?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Like, let's do it. I'm already out doing it. I'm enjoying it. You can come tag along. You can hunt with me. We can do whatever we want to do." And it just kind of rolled into that. And then she was like hemming and hawing on taking this job with American Outdoor Brands. And I'm like, you need to go do it. Like, this is what you've been working for. So I kind of pushed her to go down to Missouri and take that position. And then she ended up working for Mountain Ops in Utah. So that's how I started working with Mountain Ops. And when she upgraded her camera, I bought her old camera. So I started
Oh,
taking
sure.
my own photos then shortly after because I had her old setup and I was so used to it. But that's where it all started. It wasn't even necessarily that I was like, oh, I'm going to go be an influencer. It was just I had all this content from her that she was doing for her job, and it just worked out, and everything just kind of led down the path that it did, and it worked out in a perfect way. So,
Sounds like a good way to get
It's a
into
life
it.
it's a life lesson, Ben. A lot of people start their outdoor industry journey in Columbia, Missouri for some reason.
yeah.
It's just crazy because I think her and I moved down there at the same time. So we've never actually met like in person, but like we've chatted a little bit and like I didn't realize that yeah, she must have moved down to Columbia, Missouri at like the same ish time that I did around 2020 or something like that. And just weird how everything progresses. Like this industry's small. Everybody I meet, it seems big when you're kind of prospecting on your phone and you're seeing stuff on social media. But I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of people just know each other and it's kind of cool, versus like other industries are so big and, not, you can get spaced out. But the hunting world is pretty nice, pretty friendly. And, there's a lot of good, genuine people out there with it too.
Absolutely. And like with Macy, her and I, we grew up not far from each other. So we were pretty good friends prior to getting involved into the outdoor industry, either of us. So it's
Sure.
pretty
Well,
cool.
so, and you're originally from Wisconsin too, right? Like born
Yep.
and raised. Yep. Sure.
I grew up in an unincorporated town. They didn't count how many
Nice.
people we had.
Yeah. They had no town government.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. So let's talk about something interesting. Last podcast, I had talked about one of my craziest experience ever harvesting a deer
Mhm.
off the rip. Like it doesn't have to be your biggest deer. It doesn't have to be, what I want to know is like, what is the craziest experience where it's either a bunch of shit went wrong or everything just miraculously happened to work perfectly? Like,
Okay. Okay, well, it is actually I think this story is hilarious because it's my biggest bow buck to date, and I had no expectations that he was gonna be in the food plot that night. So, my brother came up and I had already harvested a buck with my bow, and my goal was to really get him a buck with his bow, and I set him up in, like, my honey hole, like, there was bucks coming in every day, and it was, like,
sure.
multiple, like, bachelor groups of them still. It was still pretty early in the season. And I'm like, I don't know why, but there was like 4 mature deer coming in together into this food plot. I'm like, "You need to sit here. You're gonna see deer tonight. Text me when you're done or once you shoot one, because I know you're gonna shoot one." I was so confident. The wind was perfect. Like I set him up exactly where he needed to be. And sure enough, I mean, he's seen mature deer all night long, but they didn't come within his comfort range. They were all at 50 yards. And he's
Sure.
like, "I don't want to shoot past 40." So he was patient all night. I mean, talk about going in and out of kill mode, right? Like,
Yeah, I
then
was gonna say.
I think he eventually just got angry. He's like, "Why won't you come closer?" Well, it was so windy that night. I'm talking like the trees were doing this, and I crawled up into my one tree stand that I hung, but it was a little kitty wampus. It's like it kind of hangs like
Mhm.
this. And I was like, this is a really bad idea. And I'm scoping out like where I needed to move my tree stand because the deer that I was after had locked eyes with me in that stand like 2 days
Mm.
before at like 50 yards. And I'm like, oh, I'm busted. like, I can't hunt the stand anymore. I got to figure out where I'm going to move it to. Like, that was, I was totally convinced I messed everything up. So I'm sitting there waiting for my brother to text me, and I'm playing Bubble Pop on my phone. The wind is horrible. Like, I shouldn't have been in the stand.
Yeah.
And I texted my brother, and I was like, "Oh, at least like you're seeing stuff. Like, hopefully they come in closer to you," because he was talking about how they hung up and they're just sitting at the end of the food plot. Because that's what mature bucks do. They don't go right through the food plot. Of course, they go around the outside of it. And I said, "Oh, all I've seen is turkeys tonight, and I hear squirrels. Like, that's it, and go back to playing Bubble Pop." And the squirrel has been messing around behind me this whole time, right? Or so I thought, because I was downwind of me. I'm like, there's no way that's deer. They would have been blowing at me, like right on the ridge, and the ridge was level with my tree stand. I'm like, there is no way it's deer. I didn't even try to look back. Playing my Bubble Pop, look straight down, and it's the deer that I had been after. I named him August. And I was like,
It's your
I got
phone
this.
in hand, deer at 5 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. I'm like, so I took my phone and I shoved it down my vinyl harness, and I grabbed my bow. And like I said, I had like 3 seconds to think about it. He walked out right underneath my feet and got to like a scrape that was in the middle of the food plot, drew my bow back and shot him. And I was like, there is no way that just happened. Everything that could have went wrong. Like, at one point, I'm holding onto my stand, doing this in the tree, like just full circles, think all out of it. And I'm like, there was no way a deer was going to come in. And nope,
Yeah.
sure enough, he came in, and I would have never expected it. Then I felt super guilty because I put my brother on the other stand.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I promise I did not do this intentionally. I swear to you."
That's awesome.
But I was really
It's
hoping he
always
was going to get
it's always the ones that it always goes wrong, and then like when you least expect it, here they come. It's never like, oh, tonight went exactly as I planned, and I shot the big buck. Like, it's always the ones that are just a shit show when you kill 'em.
Yeah, I can't tell you I've ever had like a lot of people that I work with in this industry are known for like, I create the scripts, the deer reads them perfectly, and I, exactly how it works out. I can't tell you if I've really ever had one other than like one gun season up in Price County. I shot a nice 10-pointer over a pile of bait, and he was there every day. And I'm like, he's showing up right at first light every single day. I'm going to get in early. Exact same thing happened. And I just kind of knew that. But like, I haven't really had a situation I feel like that's, exactly how I planned it for the most part. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that that's like my most like, oh, wow moment. I do have a really epic turkey hunt too, where I was like chasing turkeys in the Black Hills of Wyoming, and I crawled up on top of a boulder to look down there. Like, it was like this big bowl. And I was trying to
yeah.
pinpoint where the turkey was, and I got up to the top of the boulder and I looked down, and he's right below the boulder. So I shot him off of it, like straight down.
That's awesome. See,
So
Ben,
like,
you got to start turkey hunting.
yeah.
I want to get into it. I need to get over the whole calling thing. I need to just learn and go do it.
You
'Cause
know,
they're
you don't even necessarily need to call, because like, if you go out
yeah.
into Wyoming in the hills, calling almost pushes them away from you. Like, you just got to know how to cut them off and listen, and yeah, I mean,
I
decoys.
suppose. Well, and where I'm at in Kentucky, I've got a permission piece that this guy has like a lot of turkeys around, and he's got this big. It looks just like a food plot, but he just has like he doesn't plant anything in it because he's not really a hunter. And I mean, every time I'm walking out of the woods in the fall, there's turkeys in it, and I'm like, I probably could just go set up right on the edge of that. Like, I probably don't even need decoys, and I could just hunt them like deer, and I could probably kill one eventually. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard a lot of
I need to
people
just go
hunting
do
on.
it. Yeah, yep. So I don't know.
Well,
Maybe this next spring.
well, you can get a fall turkey tag, can't you? And you said Kentucky, right?
Yeah, I think so. My thing with fall turkeys is because like I come up here too, and they're everywhere at Adams. Like, I mean, it is overrun with turkeys, and I'm always like, I should just shoot one while I'm turkey hunting, but I never want to screw up my deer hunt. That's the problem.
I
I'm always out there deer hunting, and I'm like, if I shoot one, I'm gonna screw everything up, and a turkey really isn't worth it to me. So
or
I
You
don't
losing
should
know.
you
the
should
arrow.
you should maybe try it, and then maybe you'll have one of those crazy stories where it's like, oh yeah, I shot this turkey and thought my deer hunt was over, and 5 minutes later, I blasted the biggest deer of my life over top of a
Right.
flopping
Well,
turkey, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
deer
I
gets
think
curious. What's going on over there?
yeah, literally.
Right. I think part of my fear too is that I'm gonna love it. Like, as dumb as that might sound, but I kind of know I don't need one more thing to get into and one more hobby to have, and I like feel like I'm gonna love it. So I've kind of just
Mm.
like put it on the back burner for a while, and I don't know. I'll probably look back and go, I should have started doing that when I was like 16, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
That's a good
before we wrap this up, I do want to ask you, and we'll tie this into the PhD thing that we're launching here in August. But if you, knowing the success you have now versus when you started,
Mhm.
what are like the top 3 pieces of advice you would give your younger self to try
Mhm.
and accelerate and try and get you to the level you're at now, but maybe a little quicker?
Number 1 would be my fitness because it does play a big role in it. I wish I would have done more strength training and been more prepared, like, with archery and, the hiking and stuff that I do for different,
Yep.
months. So, starting that journey a little bit earlier than I did would have been helpful. Also, this is obviously a no-brainer. Don't be afraid to ask questions. When I was younger, I was afraid to ask questions. I was afraid of looking stupid, especially a female in the hunting industry. And I look at it now and I wish I would have never even second guessed asking a question just because no question's a dumb question. They always say that, but you know how we all are. We're all afraid to
Yeah,
ask.
everybody's just embarrassed or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
I would share that same thing with you too, because I'm like
Yeah.
a lot of our generation of hunters, I feel like learned trial by fire. Like you
Mhm.
had to mess shit up in
Mhm.
order to learn. And I'm not saying that's ever gonna go away, but I
Mhm.
think like to maybe crash and burn a little bit less, like definitely ask like the questions that you think might be dumb because they're completely valid and they might help you. It could be the difference between wounding a deer, successfully harvesting a deer or seeing a deer, not seeing a deer.
Yeah. And then my third one would be earlier on, I was really holding out on harvesting a decent sized buck. I passed at a deer when I hadn't shot a buck yet with my bow.
Mhm.
And I look back now and I wish I would have had a few under my belt before, harvesting. And I did eventually. It was like 5 years into bow hunting and I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm just pulling the trigger on one that I get excited like and that was the thing. I wasn't overly excited about the first deer I shot, but I was like, it's meat in the freezer. I'm getting one under my belt. And
Yep.
he came out and he locked heads with the deer that I had been watching and when they locked heads, I could clearly see he was wider and bigger than that one. So I was like, as soon as they unlock, I'm shooting him because he's at 30 yards perfect, broadside. So I wish looking back, I wouldn't have held back. And I wish I would have practiced shooting out of an elevated stand too, because
Sure.
that was, you go from only shooting on the ground and then you don't actually shoot your bow out of an elevated place and then it's just completely different. So
It makes a big
Ben's
difference.
obsessed with that
Yeah.
more than anybody else I know. He's like a super preacher on like practice real world situations. And I think that was very apparent when he prepped for his North Dakota trip, like the stuff he was doing at the range of like drawing your bow while you're crouched, anchoring, then standing, and like stuff that like when you just shoot, right, you're standing square to your target, you pull back, you're aiming flat. Like
mhm.
I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, get your fundamentals down, right? Like, make sure that you're doing it perfectly before you go and start screwing around, getting in the tree, doing kneeling shots, that stuff. But
Yeah.
you still need to practice that. So, take some time and getting yourself ready is huge. I mean,
Yeah.
so.
The fitness
Absolutely.
side of it too, like I feel like a lot of probably what you're doing with Western hunts is like so underlooked by a lot of people. Like I feel like everybody
Mhm.
wants to just look at their gear, be like, oh, I need to go buy this thing and I need to go buy this thing. And it's like you should spend like 10% of your time on that and the other 90 scouting and getting in shape to go out there. Cause a lot of those hunts are hard. Like
Mhm.
what we did in North
Mhm.
Dakota wasn't crazy, but like even parts of that were hard. Like I can imagine I haven't done like a true western hunt like that yet, but I can imagine you're pretty gassed when you come off the mountain after a few days.
Yeah, that and even like strength for when you're fatigued and you need to be able to pull your bow back.
Yeah,
And you also need to be able to let your bow down, and having the
yeah,
strength to be able to do that, that's huge. Every year I try to up my poundage in the summer, and if the strength isn't there, I end up hurting myself, and I did it last summer, and I had to drop my bow weight back down. I mean, I was almost up to 60 pounds, and then I had to go all the way back down to 45 because I hurt my shoulder, and it's like,
Sure.
yeah,
just don't be dumb. So that's a frustrating thing for me as I've been trying to grow in archery, and as a bow hunter, I've been trying to, work on my strength in multiple ways, like, my endurance as far as up mountains or hills or wherever I am, but then also being able to be lethal.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. If
Well,
you could, so
sweet.
you hunt, I mean, from what I see, you hunt just about everything. If you could hunt one animal, maybe we'll leave it with this for the rest of your life, what's it going to be?
If I could hunt one animal for the rest of my life?
Yep. If you could only hunt one for the rest, like you can draw
Ooh.
this one tag every year, but it's the only tag you can ever get, what's it going to be?
Okay, this is so hard because I haven't harvested an elk yet, but I would assume it would
Mhm.
be elk. I'm sorry, a bull elk. I would assume it would be elk hunting because I've loved rifle hunting elk, but I've never done an archery elk hunt. So like it's a hard one for me to say that. I would assume it's going to be archery elk, but based on what I have right now and the knowledge that I have right now, I'm going to have to say whitetail because it provides. I know I can get a deer every year. I know it puts meat in my freezer. I know I have the property, there's
Mhm.
that is a huge factor in why I hunt. I fill my freezer and I don't have to pay for meat all year long. But I'm sure once I go on an archery elk hunt, I'm going to be addicted. So
Yeah.
Right. You're going to be moving out west probably after that.
that is in my future. I have a 12-year-old, so I'll be in Wisconsin for a while. But once the
Yeah.
ability to move out west is there, I will be moving. Yeah.
Can't say I
Yeah,
blame
Ben,
you.
what is yours? Archery mule deer?
It's up there now. I really didn't think it would be. I thought I'd be whitetails till I die for the rest of my life, but it's pretty fun. But I don't know. It'd be a toss up. At a certain point, I think I'd have to just flip a coin between the two. But yeah, mule deer rivals it more than I thought it would.
Well,
Say that
hopefully we
again.
got that. He's filming on his iPhone too.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry if this podcast gets all screwed up. I didn't really plan on this being my setup for tonight, so hopefully it turns out all right. But well, anyways, what else you got, Gabe?
Cool.
Anything?
Yeah. No, I think I was gonna wrap that up and just I think there's a lot of digestible information here for just novice hunters, to listen to this podcast. You're gonna hear some things, different perspective. You got to meet Renee. And we're just gonna try and slowly keep talking about PHC. We're within about a month and a half. So the course is dropping August 1st. There's a wait list available on the website right now. So you can't buy it yet, but you guys definitely, if you're interested, sign up. You'll be the first to know. We'll send out an email and then we'll get you on the intro pricing too for the course. So we will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.